Hi there! Welcome back to eJournal tutorials. In this video, we'll learn more about timelines within eJournal. Let's get started. Each journal is its own timeline, which serves as an overview of evidence, activities, and feedback a student has gathered or is expected to collect in the future. The timeline can be used to navigate through the content of a portfolio and to gain insights into what tasks still need to be completed. Let's see how that works. Here we can see a student's journal with the timeline here on the left. Each timeline starts with an overview of the journal, indicated by this info icon here. This is the starting point of the journal and is automatically opened when you enter any portfolio. Inside, you can find a description of the assignment, what categories are available, and when it should be completed. Next, we can see so-called entries. These are the individual content-related pieces of evidence the student has collected. The icon that you see represents the status of the entry. Students have the ability to add entries to their timeline via this plus button. Once an entry has been added to the timeline, it goes through multiple stages, each indicated by its own icon. Let's now go over them and see what they represent. Entries will start as a draft, indicated by this icon here. A draft is only visible to the students in order to create a safe environment to work in. Once the draft is completed, it can be submitted for feedback by the students. This will change the icon to an hourglass, indicating the entry is awaiting feedback. At this stage, the teacher will see an exclamation mark, indicating an action. The students would like to receive feedback. It's possible to provide feedback but not quite publish it yet. For example, when you would like to publish all feedback at the same time. Once an entry has received feedback but it's still invisible to the students, as it still needs to be published, the icon changes to this /die. Finally, once the feedback has been published, the icon will change to a green check mark to indicate that the entry has received feedback and all sections are finished. Sometimes, entries are part of a predefined deadline, so the student is not added the entry to the timeline themselves, but the teacher has asked the student to submit a specific entry. For this scenario, some additional icons and stages exist. A deadline is indicated by the calendar icon. This means that the entry is still incomplete and that the student should work on it. When the deadline has passed but the student has not yet submitted work, this is indicated by an orange clock. Sadly, sometimes it happens that a deadline is not completed before its lock date. From there, the student no longer has a chance to complete the deadline. This will be indicated by the lock icon. Besides entries, the timeline can contain various different types of activities, most indicated by their own icon. When a student is asked to participate in a peer feedback activity, this timeline element shows up. If a teacher has defined intermediate goals, they show up in timeline as orange. In this example, the teacher is asked to acquire 10 numeric points before a certain date. Anytime a student shares their journal and receives feedback, a feedback activity will appear in the timeline, indicated by this icon. As you can understand from all these types of activities, the timeline can get quite lengthy. To help you easily find what you're looking for, it's possible to filter the timeline based on particular categories, or by adding past deadlines. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to know more about entries more specifically, feel free to click through. See you soon!